latest episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball. It's our last one, at least for a certain time, in which we're doing this from 15 time zones apart. 15, 13. 15 from me to home, 13 from me to you, I believe, is where we are right now. It's currently...
depends on which way you're counting, right? If we're going
true.
west,
11 the other way.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. We're closer than you think, Tyler. We're not that far apart.
We're not on completely opposite sides of the globe. My name is Tyler Bond. Sam Dykstra is in New York City. It is currently 8:15 in the morning here in Hiroshima Prefecture in Japan, where I am broadcasting the Women's Baseball World Cup group stage on the heels of broadcasting the U18 Baseball World Cup last week in Taiwan. Sam Dykstra in Brooklyn, New York. It's 7:15 p.m. there? On Wednesday.
That is correct. On Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it is 8:15 a.m. on Thursday. In the future.
Yeah.
The future.
In the year 2000. I have to say, Sam Dykstra is the gentleman of all gentlemen, a great, tremendous human being who I get to see in a couple of weeks, which I'm very excited about. I always have to give you grief whenever we do an episode where you're in your apartment. And one time it was about, you had like 18 different rolls of aluminum foil behind you. Today you've only got one. You also have a giant box of Splenda. But the thing that I got to ask you, what's going on with your blinds, man? What is that?
Oh, let's just not touch on my blinds. They are they're going all directions. They are covering the window. But yeah, let's go ahead and point the camera this way at the rest of my kitchen. I went to
where obviously like one of the strings has been pulled and the other strings were not pulled, and so like one side is swung up and the other,
it's not great.
Happening there?
It's not great. I went to my sister's house over the weekend because it was my mother's birthday, and I was talking to my brother-in-law, and they have those ones that they don't have the string anymore.
Oh yeah, I know. We've got those.
You just pull them and you push them.
Incredible.
And I turned to him and I was like, John, when did you guys get these? These are amazing. He's like, dude, we've had these the entire house. I'm like, oh yeah, I've been stuck inside this apartment for so long.
It really is. I will say those blinds, the first time I encountered those blinds, I was like, oh, we are living in the future. This is incredible. It's like,
and you can like push them down from the top too. So if like you want
down,
light to come
up,
in from,
it's amazing. I love it. It's
incredible what's happening in the blind game.
The blind industry is really, the
blind industry is just innovating.
It's especially nice if you have dogs who like barking at things outside, because you can keep the blind, you can still let the natural light in from the top of the window, bottom of the window still covered up. So if they're trying to check outside, stay on neighborhood watch, you can block that off, but you can still get the nice light coming in. It's amazing. It's quite a world,
man. I mean, I love this apartment for many ways, but for many reasons. But I also have an oven that I have to light myself if it wants to turn on. So there's lots of things that need to catch up in this apartment before I get to the 2023 version of blinds. Well, so nice of you to notice that.
Sam Dykstra is such a gentleman that he's such a good human being that he makes your brain go the other way and think, well, I got to give this guy grief over something. So today it was the blinds. It's been the aluminum foil in the past. It's been the blinds today. I'm pretty sure I've done other things. But with that, we welcome you into the latest episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball. He is Sam Dykstra in New York City. I am Tyler Mon in wherever I am these days. Sam, it's minor league postseason time as we welcome you all in to this week's episode. By the way, you can get in touch with the show, podcast@milb.com. You can send us your questions, your thoughts, your comments, your concerns about the almost end of the minor league baseball season. We are past the regular season. Some teams are already wrapping up playoff series by the time you hear this, especially at the high A and single A levels. And we were going to talk about the minor league postseason at those levels. And then Sam had a good point, which was like, yeah, they're best of 3 series. By the time we release this, those series are going to be done. So instead of that, we're going to talk about some of the top performers at those levels this year. And Sam is going to give us his picks for hitter and pitcher of the year at high A and single A. Now, an important designation. these are more like, if you have followed our organization All-Stars and our Milby Awards over the years at MILB.com, these are more like that. The top performers, they are not necessarily the top prospects, but the top performers at each level. Sam, let's hear it.
Yeah, so let's start at the single A level. We'll go down and work our way up. I'm going to do a hitter and a pitcher for each league, or for each level. I'm not going to go league by league. It's just going to be by level here, single A and high A. So we'll start with single A first. I'm going to start with the Dodgers prospect Tyrone Lorenzo, who currently checks in at number 18 on the Dodgers top 30 list that is put together by Jim Callis over at MLB Pipeline. Lorenzo leads single A qualifiers with a 155 WRC plus. He also leads with a 562 slugging, a 962 OPS, and with 24 homers. He's played at single A Rancho Cucamonga in his age 19 season. He was signed for just $30,000, excuse me, not even 300,000, 30,000, 5 figures out of the Dominican Republic 2 years ago. Has already climbed to single A ball. He's climbed once level a year, basically going from the DSL to the Arizona Complex League last year, now to full season ball. Now, this is his best year by far. That 962 OPS is his highest of his career. That's not why I'm picking him here. It's because of all those reasons I laid out before. And yes, you know, the Cal League is a hitter's league. It's not a huge surprise to hear that a Cal League hitter led in slugging, led in OPS, led in homers. But that WRC plus kind of tries to even it out a little bit, and he still was tops at single A. You can make a case for Samuel DeSayo, the Orioles catcher, who had about 60 fewer plate appearances than Lorenzo, another catcher a year younger than him, somebody who's also done really well this year, making the jump to full season ball. But I'm going to go with Lorenzo for my hitter of the year at the single A level. And then for pitcher at the same lowest rung of full season is Trey Dombrowski. Trey Dombrowski struck out a lot of batters this year in the Astros system. His age 22 season, 30.1% strikeout rate, which was tops in single A. His strikeout minus walk percentage, which is a stat I really like. It's somebody who does both really well. Is it somebody who strikes out guys a lot and doesn't walk a ton, was 22.8, which led the level as well. His 214 average led single A. He had a 3.71 ERA, which was fantastic for Fayetteville, but his home numbers were a little bit worse than his road numbers. So the environment at Fayetteville may have been playing into that. But one thing I always look at for these things is, can you strike guys out? That's one of the toughest things to do. Dombrowski certainly has done that this season. Like I said, a 22-year-old left-handed pitcher comes in at 6'5", stands out more for his breaking stuff. His curveball and slider are closer to average pitches, and he has above average control, which certainly helps him at that level. Somebody coming out of Monmouth, so he should have dominated single A in this way, but to do so in the way he did for 119 innings, he gets the nod at single A.
All right, Sam, that is the single A level. What about at the high A level, where postseason is now underway as well?
Yeah, Tyler, as you said before, I just want to reiterate that, I know there are high A series going on right now. There are single A series going on right now, and I would love to give you my picks for all of them. But we're doing this on Wednesday, Eastern Standard Time. You never know who's we could say one thing like, oh, so-and-so is off to a 1-0 series lead, and that's going to be bunked by Friday if the other team sweeps the next 2 games. So we'll have full postseason coverage next week of these levels when some champions may already be crowned, and we can break that down even deeper. But for now, let's just stick to these season standouts. So then on the hitting side for high A, I'm going to go with somebody who I think is one of my favorite sluggers in the minor leagues this year, somebody out of the Rangers system, Abimelec Ortiz. Now, you have to lower the standards a little bit to get Ortiz on the list for high A, but his slugging numbers, 624 over 333 plate appearances at high A this year. That's the highest of anybody who had 250 plate appearances at high A. His 988 OPS, also highest at the level. This is somebody who's hit 26 homers in 80 games. So let's say if you would have played 182 games, you'd be on pace for 50 plus homers at high A. You look at some of the other performers that have been in that league. This is when I say, like, hey, Jackson Holiday did really great at single A, did really great at high A, didn't quite spend enough time because he was so good at either level for me to give him a nod here, especially, when you incorporate some of the counting stats. But Abimelech Ortiz, first base only, 21 years old. It's killer power. It really, really works well. Would love to see him get to double A at the start of next year. He slugged above 600 at both single A and high A this season. But for him to slug that much at 600 plus over 80 games was certainly special. So he gets the nod on the hitting side. Now on the pitching side, this is somebody who just entered our top 100. It's Drew Thorpe of the New York Yankees. And he has the case for being the most dominant pitcher in the minor leagues, at least when you consider prospects this season. Drew Thorpe, pitching for high A Hudson Valley, over 109 innings this year, had the lowest ERA at high A at 2.81. He struck out 32.4% of batters faced. That was the highest strikeout rate. Again, going back to that strikeout minus walk percentage, that was the best in high A at 24.6. He had a whip of 1.07, which was, again, the lowest at high A. So he's ticking off every box you could possibly tick here, and he did it over 100 innings. Now he's at Double A Somerset. They just added him to the injured list. Unfortunately, it sounds like it's an injury on his non-pitching arm, so that's a little bit of good news. But Drew Thorpe, somebody who really dominates with the changeup, and did that exceptionally well to start out his first full season at high A. Another guy who probably should have got promoted to Double A Somerset at some point, but the Yankees have a lot of these arms. There is a little bit of a traffic jam between high A and Double A this year. Drew Thorpe will get that chance at Double A when he's healthy again next season, and hopefully he can take off again. But the strikeout numbers will really stand out, and that reflected in everything else. Like I said, the ERA, the whip. He was really difficult to touch this year at high A, and it was a pretty easy pick for the pitcher of the year at that level.
All right, Sam. We are now into the stretch in which you're headed off for your final minor league game of the month here in 2023, and you get to head to a very cool town, a place where I have never been before. But you're headed off to Biloxi to check out the Shuckers for the final minor league game of the month this year.
Yeah, I mentioned this as my MILB TV pick of the week last week, pretty much hinting that, like, hey, you should watch this series because it is a very good one, but also because the game of the week, or the game of the month, I should say, will be there on Saturday. Biloxi and Montgomery are neck and neck in the Southern League South Division second half title, which is a tongue twister. Southern League South Division second half title. I had to say that for
50 black slick back hair wigs. 50 black slick back hair wigs.
See, you're the king of this. You do this all the time. People send you to international waters for this stuff.
Adley Rutschman will love that reference that I just made.
I'm sure he will. Now I get what that's from. I still
avid listener of the show, I'm sure.
Adley Rutschman.
Fellow, yeah. I think you should leave.
Friend of the show.
Adley Rutschman. He is friend of the show. He is
a friend of the show. But yeah, I will be heading to Biloxi on Friday and Saturday. The game of the month will be Saturday. But as it stands right now, as we're recording on Monday, Montgomery has just a half game lead. And it's a 6-game series. If Biloxi wins 4 out of the 6 games, it goes to the postseason. Anything else lower than that, if they split the series, Montgomery's going. So we have 2 top 10 prospects that will be in that game. Junior Caminero, who is as hot as anybody in minor league baseball. He has 15 homers that he's hit since the beginning of August. So that's 15 homers in essentially 6 weeks. He's slugging above 700 in that span. It's been really killer what he's doing at the tail end of his age 19 season. He turned 20 a few months ago, but it's still technically his age 19 season. Jackson Churio being the other one. He's been really good since the start of July, when the Southern League ball was switched away from the pre-tacked one. He seems to have adjusted really well to that. Maybe he was struggling a bit with the pre-tack ball. I will be talking with Jackson Churio on Saturday on the MLB Pipeline Instagram live page, so check that out. Keep an eye out. We'll be putting out announcements on socials when that's coming out. It'll also be posted again later. If you miss it, circle back to the MLB Pipeline Instagram page. I'll be checking in with Jackson Churio, seeing what's changed in the second half. But as if that matchup isn't good enough between the postseason implications and having 2 top 10 prospects, there's also Jefferson Caro, who's one of the best catching prospects in baseball. He'll be on the Biloxi side. Carson Williams was just called up to Double A Montgomery. He's a top 20 prospect in the game, brings elite defense plus power, can really help Montgomery. And I think, allows Junior Caminero to slide over to third base, which is a better fit for him defensively. Also, the Brewers just called up Brock Wilken, their first round pick from this year, from high A to Double A. What does he do for his first hit? He hits a grand slam at Double A. So this matchup just keeps getting more and more loaded. Both of these teams are really going for it. They want that Southern League postseason spot. So hopefully it's still up for grabs come Saturday. It should be. And if it is, it's going to be a cutthroat game. I can't wait to get down there. We'll also be doing a stadium tour of MGM Park on the MILB Instagram page. So check that out. Post, showing you some stuff if you ever make it down to Biloxi, like what you should look for in that ballpark. I'm really interested to see it because it is like right there on the Gulf. If you've ever seen pictures of it, there's a big casino kind of looming over right center. It's one of the newer parks in the minor leagues, just having opened a few years ago. I'm really interested, not just to tick it off for myself, but also to show it to people who haven't been down there for any reason, because, the Brewers system continually is loaded. I don't think Jackson Chourio is going to be there next year, but who knows? Brock Wilken could very well start out Double A next year. There might be some Brewers fans who want to head down to Biloxi, or other people who just want to see it on their regular minor league tour. So keep an eye out for like all of the content that'll be coming out of the game of the month. But the game itself should be particularly loaded, and that'll be streaming for free, like all games of the month, on Saturday on MLB.com, on MILB TV, anywhere you can get minor league footage. We'll have it out there for free.
And it's a stop that I would like to make on the minor league landscape. Head to Biloxi. I've actually never been to Mississippi. I've never made it.
Neither have I. So I'm flying into Louisiana. I'm flying into New Orleans, then driving to Biloxi. Never been to either of those states. So
and you say that state's name in a normal way, as the rest of us Yanks do. I don't know if I would technically be considered a Yankee. I'm from Colorado, but anyway, my fiance, who is from East Texas, very near the border, she says Louisiana. And the first time she said it, I was like, are you serious with it? Louisiana? She's like, yeah, it's
Louisiana,
near the Louisiana border. I was like, the what border? What now? And I'm sure we'll get emails from people that are like, no, that's the correct way, but I'm not.
Well,
you don't say St. Louis, Missouri.
Well, you do say Louisville, though.
Yeah, you do say Louisville. Unless you're in Colorado, where we have a town with the same spelling and it's Louisville. Nothing makes
the United States of America is a land of contrast.
Nothing makes any sense. It's like the river that is named after the state that Little Rock is in. That river is pronounced by locals as the Arkansas River, not the Arkansas River. Nothing makes sense. The world doesn't make sense, Sam.
I love it, though.
We're all hurtling on this blue marble toward our own oblivion. Now
we get to learn something about each other, right?
There are mummified aliens in Mexico. We got maybe signs of life light years away, the James Webb Telescope. We got the nothing makes sense. Yeah, exactly. We like to learn all these weird things about ourselves.
Yeah. Save ET hour for the off season. We got a long off season ahead. We can do all that stuff.
All right, Sam. Well, I'm going to pass this baton to you and our very own Benjamin Hill. What's coming up?
Yeah, so Ben and I will be catching up here in just a bit, but we also have an interview later. There's a very interesting postseason series happening. Again, it'll be over by the time you guys hear this, but it was fascinating for us. Ben and I were kind of sitting around trying to come up with podcast ideas, and we both thought of this one. In the Florida State League, one of the two postseason series is between Palm Beach and Jupiter. Palm Beach and Jupiter, you might know, normally share a stadium, and they do currently. But for a while now, because of renovations to Roger Dean, they have actually had to play at Ballpark of the Palm Beaches, basically down the road. So it's a postseason series between two teams who know each other very well. They share a facility, but now they've had to share a different facility. There's so many moving parts going on in just a 3-game set. So we'll catch up on that and much more here with me and Ben.
Wait, are you gaming? On a Chromebook?
Yep. It's got a high-res 120Hz display, plus this killer RGB keyboard. And I can access thousands of games anytime, anywhere.
Stop playing.
What?
Get out of here.
Huh?
Yeah, I want you to stop playing and get out of here so I can game on that Chromebook.
Got it.
Discover the ultimate cloud gaming machine, a new kind of Chromebook.
Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. This fall, the Disney Bundle has all the action.
Holy smokes!
Watch live NFL and college football games on ESPN Plus. On Disney Plus, there's Loki Season 2.
War is on its way.
And Ahsoka.
Buckle up.
And on Hulu, you can watch The Boogeyman and Welcome to Wrexham.
Oh my God, the expectation.
All of these and more streaming this fall with the Disney Bundle. Blackouts and restrictions apply. 18 plus only. Access content from each service separately. Offer valid for eligible subscribers only. Terms apply.
Well, now currently sitting to the left of me, not in a Grimey's parking lot, not in a record store parking lot of any kind, is Benjamin Hill, who is, I don't want to say freshly back from the road. You've been back for a few days, but if you are listening to these podcasts back to back, would seem freshly back from the road to you. Ben, first off, it is good to have you back in New York City. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. We're talking here on a Thursday afternoon. It feels to me like I'm freshly back from the road. The last game I attended was Sunday afternoon in Columbus at beautiful Huntington Park, and then my flight out that evening got canceled. So spent an extra night in Columbus, made it home on Monday morning, and then kind of resumed normal operations on Tuesday. And here we are talking on Thursday. No rest in the world of minor league baseball. The playoffs are going on at A and high A levels. Regular season is wrapping up at AA. AAA's got a few weeks to go. I've got plenty of road trip stuff going on. I would like to visit more record stores, but let me tell you, I have so many records that I haven't listened to yet, and it gives me anxiety. Sometimes I buy a record and it takes a better part of a year from it really to become part of my active listening list. It's getting out of control, and I need help.
Well, just giving yourself the option to play it at any time is worth the price, right? Like, even if you don't listen to it for a while, just having it around, it's now an option to you that wasn't available to you before you bought.
True. I come from the world of college radio, big part of my college experience at the University of Pittsburgh. 92.1 WPTS, call with the request 383-9787. That's 383 WPTS. And when I was in college radio, they had rotation. And, that was, you had to play songs during a certain part of the day that were in rotation, heavy rotation, medium rotation, light rotation. So now I have my own self-created rotation. So an album has to, wait its turn to get into rotation, then get a certain number of listens before it then gets put into the stacks. And sometimes I do cheat. It's usually like late at night where I'm like, no one's watching, even though I'm the only one involved in this entire operation. I just want to listen to this record right now. And that's what happens.
All right. Well, there we go. When we were talking to you last week, it was from a record store parking lot. You were on your way from Nashville to Bowling Green, Kentucky. You have since been to Bowling Green. You've been to Louisville. You've been to Indianapolis. You've been to Columbus. But let's focus on the two Kentucky stops for now. Between Bowling Green and Louisville, what were your takeaways from there?
Yeah, Bowling Green. Well, in last week's episode, as you might remember, I know you remember.
I happily remember.
Yes, and as listeners might remember, last week's guest on the podcast was Ashley Wilson, the assistant general manager of the Bowling Green Hot Rod. So I talked to her right after the game and was happy to be able to share that on the podcast the next day. It was a real quick turnaround on that one. But Bowling Green in general, I had not been to see the Hot Rod since 2013, a full decade. So it was good to be back there. The last time I went there in 2013, Brad Taylor was the general manager, and he had played, a key role in getting that franchise established back in 2009. And I remember talking to Brad Taylor in 2013, and I think he had just taken the job to lead El Paso, who had not debuted yet, the Chihuahuas. The Chihuahuas name wasn't a thing, but he left following that year to start the Chihuahuas. So my last visit to Bowling Green predated the inception of the El Paso Chihuahuas, and now that team seems like, very
much a part of the fabric.
Yeah, part of the fabric. It doesn't feel new anymore. So that's how long it had been. It was a Thursday night, so the Hot Rods, as they do most every Thursday, they played as the Bootleggers, one of their alternate identities, representing the history of illicit whiskey, not illicit whiskey production in the Bowling Green region. And those Hot Rod uniforms, look them up if you haven't seen them. They are full pinstripe all the way. The pants are dark brown, like a barrel colored, and have pinstripes all the way down. it's a real eye-catching look, that pinstripe barrel theme from top to bottom, from head to toe. And the Bowling Green Hot Rods have always done well with that kind of thing, unique alternate identities, interesting promotions. Ashley Wilson, who I mentioned, is real big on the promotions, and she's also the on-field MC, is in costume whenever a theme night allows it. So it's a smaller operation, by minor league baseball standards. But still a lot going on in Bowling Green promotionally, and great to be back. The game itself was against the Greensboro Grasshoppers, and it was the longest game I've seen in the pitch clock era. It was something like 3 hours and 41 minutes. So it was a slog. And by the end of the game, I think everyone just felt like, oh, let's end this game. Final score, Greensboro 19, Bowling Green 10. A cool aspect of the game, obviously not from Bowling Green side, but it does have a Bowling Green connection, is that Luke Brown of the Greensboro Grasshoppers is a Bowling Green native. So he was back home playing as the visiting team against the Hot Rods, but he had 8 RBIs in that 19-10 win. So that was a cool thing towards the end of the game. It's the 8th inning. It's a blowout. Most of the fans had left, but Luke Brown still racking up hits, racking up RBIs. And, a lot of the fans left were Luke Brown fans, really getting into that. And I got to meet Turbo, the front office dog. He's an aspiring bat dog. I think that was the plan, but then the pandemic hit and the trainer who was doing it couldn't do it. So he's just at the ballpark every day and comes out in the concourse and greets fans. And just the way dogs are, it's just one of the most popular popular individuals in the ballpark. So if you go to a Hot Rods game, keep an eye out for Turbo. Get your Turbo merchandise in the team store, because yes, they have that. I believe they have a t-shirt that says something along the lines of, I'm just here to see Turbo. So it's that kind of atmosphere in Bowling Green where people love the dog, but it's not just Bowling Green, it's everywhere. Get a ballpark dog if you don't have one.
Seriously,
everybody loves ballpark
yeah,
dogs.
Turbo is basically an international celebrity now. People know him. He's got a Twitter account to follow. Yes, he doesn't have the purpose of like going out and getting bats like some other bat dogs, but like he's around. He's a character.
Yeah, and we might see him as a bat dog. That's the
we still
long-term
might.
goal.
Yeah, right.
Turbo is 4 years old and still has a lot of potential to fulfill those bat dog dreams, but it's a process. I know people think like, you get a dog, train it to pick up a bat, but there's a lot that goes on to that with the timing of when they go out, because you are doing this during a professional minor league baseball game. And so that bat dog really does have to be on top of things in terms of the timing of when they get the bat, not slowing down the gameplay, a confidence with the bat dog, knowing what he or she has to do, knowing not to defecate on the field, which is fortunately the only minor league baseball scenario where we have to worry about that, but it is an issue, and you can look it up. Other bat dogs have had their accidents.
Yes,
and hopefully Turbo avoids that. But anyway, great to see Turbo.
We have high hopes for Turbo.
We do.
All right, so we were also saying your next stop after that was Louisville, a place I got to visit earlier this summer. Went down there to go see Ellie De La Cruz and some various other Reds prospects, many of which are now with the big league club. But you were there checking out Louisville Slugger Field. Has one of, I know, your favorite entrances to a minor league ballpark, in that it's a former train depot that folks walk through as they're coming through. But what else stood out about this visit to Louisville?
Yeah, I was thinking about my travel itinerary this year, and it wasn't part of the plan, but I visited the 2 minor league ballparks that were former train depots, Montgomery Biscuits, Riverwalk Stadium, and now Louisville Slugger Field. And I was talking to Greg Gillette. Is that how you say his last name? It's been a while. But the team president. And, he was saying, like, if we couldn't have built this structure, you enter through this spacious brick former train depot. And he's like, given the cost of building a ballpark, we couldn't have done this, new. So, yeah. Greg Galliette. Yeah, Greg Galliette. I apologize. But he was saying we could not do this new. And so to incorporate a historic structure into the entrance, it really gives it a sense of grandeur. When you,
depending on how much of a grandeur you want to add to it.
Yeah, exactly. When you walk in, and the ballpark itself is now about 25 years old, and they've made a ton of great improvements since the last time I was there. reduced the capacity, which has been a trend, added more group areas, more room to move around. And I just had a great time there. There was just a lot going on from the start. People I know in Louisville from previous road trips, spent an inning sitting with my friend Steve-O, one of the best fan scorekeepers I've ever seen. Greg Hotop, my designated eater, was actually the designated eater in Indianapolis 9 years ago. He reprised his role in Louisville. And the filet mignon of Louisville Slugger Field is the fried bologna sandwich. So we had to feature that. You can get a fried bologna sandwich, which, Louisville, it's Kentucky. It's not the North, but that's about as North as I think I've seen fried bologna. It's usually a bit of more of a Southern specialty. I remember seeing it in the Appy League here and there, and I believe maybe in Georgia through the years. It all blurs together, but good to see fried bologna, the filet mignon in Louisville Slugger Field at the ballpark, as well as Four Pegs Barbecue, which I've never been to one of their establishments, but they run one of the outfield concession stands, and really good barbecue out there in like the center field concourse area. Four Pegs Barbecue. Greg, the designated eater, I got him a sandwich there. It cost $25, which is a lot for a concession item, but you could definitely split it with at least one person. It was pulled pork, brisket, and chicken on a hoagie roll, and French fries, and pickles, and everything else.
Wait, are the fries incorporated in?
Yeah, the fries were actually, to me, it's like you don't even, and gluten-free, you just take away the roll and I think it'd be okay. Because you can't really pick that thing up and eat as a sandwich. It's like the fries and then it's the bread, the fries, and then all the meat. So a fork and knife are recommended, split it. But if you're still hungry after your fried bologna sandwich, hit up the Four Pegs Barbecue. And if you're really hungry, you get the Grand Slam, and it has everything in it for $25. And as I'm talking now, I'm just like, I'm forgetting so many other things I did and people I talked to in Louisville. But it all come out eventually. I've got more stories coming out. But bottom line is it was great to be back there. Great energy. They had Joey Votto rehabbing, so it was good to see him coming up with Jolene as his walk-up song. Just good energy all around, and it was a Friday night, which really helped. I was a little skeptical on this trip, being a post-Labor Day September trip, that attendance would be really rough throughout, but in most cases that was not the case at all. And in Louisville on a Friday night, just tons of people, including the ever popular Boy Scout sleepover after the game. So never a dull moment all the way through the end of September in AAA baseball.
Yeah, I mean, Louisville has been one of my favorite places to visit this year because it is a major city. Like, it is a big hub. There are a lot of people who come there. There are a lot of people who live there. So they really embrace the baseball team. But it's also close to Cincinnati, where like they are legit Reds fans there too. It's that perfect mix of like, hey, there's enough people here to get people to the ballpark to begin with, but we have that added layer of like Joey Votto might be rehabbing, or Ellie De La Cruz might be here, Matt McClain, Andrew Abbott, on down the line, Christian Encarnacion Strand. All of those guys came through there. So these are legit fans who are fans of the Reds. The river's right there. It's not that far to get to Cincinnati. But there's a large population base to support a club like that, and it shows, I feel like, season in and season out.
No, there definitely is. And another interesting thing about this franchise is that when they started, they were in Cardinal Stadium, which hosted, I guess, the University of Louisville facility first, or in addition to. And that ballpark had a capacity of something like 34,000 people. And there were times they had sellouts. And I just was fascinated by it, talking to Greg, who's been with the team since the 80s when they played in that ballpark, looking at pictures. And there was a picture of a sellout at Cardinal Stadium where they had something like 33,000 fans, and it was quarter hot dog night. That's what got 33,000 fans. And it made me just really nostalgic. One, of that many people showing up for a minor league game. And two, as much as we all love, like, a lot of the crazy promotions that go on and everything, just to think, like, at a ballpark like that with no frills whatsoever, once you were there, you were just there to watch the game, and to have 30-some thousand people really invested in that and quarter hot dogs. But I
was going to say, don't overlook the quarter hot dogs here.
Yeah, but still, just what the atmosphere must have been like, really, getting to know the players and rooting for the team. It made me nostalgic in that way. And there's a lot of stories from operating out of Cardinal Stadium. One of the many things Greg told me, that there were livestock stables underneath the stadium. So in their offices, they could just hear the kicking of bulls and cows and who knows what else rumbling on down there. it was an interesting place. But Louisville Slugger Field, very close to the Louisville Slugger, factory and museum. A lot of baseball history in Louisville, and really a fun place to see a game.
Yeah, so more stuff from Louisville will be coming in your writing. We'll talk about Indianapolis and Columbus, which are other 2 stops on that trip, in future podcasts, Ben. But before we let you go here, what is your promo of the week? I mean, Tyler and I will be talking about our MILB TV picks of the week later on in the show. But while we have you, what is your promo to watch?
Yeah, it's funny to be talking about something like this on September 14th when we're recording this, the podcast.
There's still baseball left. Yeah.
There's a couple of weeks of baseball left, at least on the AAA level and playoffs. So yeah, we're talking here on Thursday, September 14th. You will hopefully listen to the podcast on Friday, September 15th. And then you will travel, I presume, if you don't live there already, to Round Rock, Texas on September 16th, Saturday, because they are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Cult Classic Dazed and Confused, which of course took place in Austin. Round Rock is just outside of Austin. And they have a lot going on. They have a bobblehead giveaway related to the movie. They have theme jerseys. They have a panel discussion at the ballpark with cast members, as well as director Richard Linklater.
That's a big get.
Yeah, it's a big get. And, as we were talking yesterday, Sam, he's a sports fan. So hopefully, you don't do that kind of thing unless you really want to. Being a director of his stature, right. I know he has a new movie out, but he's taking the time to see a
How many movie promo nights have we talked about? Like where it's just like, yeah, we wore the jerseys and that's essentially it. This is going to that next level.
Right. They have some real buy-in. And while Matthew McConaughey won't be there,
that we know of,
he might be. You're right. But the Round Rock Express have already given away a Matthew McConaughey bobblehead in 2019. So they have some kind of relationship with him as well. And of course, Dazed and Confused was the movie that really launched his career some 30 years ago. They came out in September 1993, and now in September 2023, you can celebrate it at Dell Diamond, home of the Round Rock Express.
All right. Well, that is Ben's pick for the promo of the week. Ben, we'll circle back next week to talk about more promos, more stuff. But before we let you go, set up the interview we have coming up here.
All right. We have not gotten to the interview yet. There's so much to talk about. We are just really good at doing this podcast in terms of how much we have. Yeah, right now in the Florida State League playoffs, the Palm Beach Cardinals are taking on the Jupiter Hammerheads. As we are speaking on Thursday, Jupiter is up 1-0 in the best-of-3 series. But this playoff series is taking place between 2 teams that share the same ballpark. So to get into the joys and complications and just overall uniqueness of this scenario, we have Andrew Seymour, the general manager of the Palm Beach Cardinals, to talk about this playoff matchup featuring 2 teams who share the same ballpark. There's that old horror movie trope. The call is coming from inside the house. In the current Florida State League East Division Finals, the rival is inside the house. The opposing team is inside the house because it's a unique situation. It is the Palm Beach Cardinals versus the Jupiter Hammerheads. And those are 2 teams that have long shared the same ballpark, and now they're battling it out in the Florida State League playoffs. To talk about this unique situation, we have Andrew Seymour, who is the general manager of the Palm Beach Cardinals. Andrew, thanks for being here.
You guys, thank you very much. Yep, it's turf war time, so we're talking it up, and I appreciate you guys bringing me on.
Yeah, we want to get into this playoff matchup and how you guys handle it. But first, the Palm Beach Cardinals and Jupiter Hammerheads have long shared Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium. But a couple months ago, you moved into the ballpark of the Palm Beaches temporarily while there's renovations being done at Roger Dean Chevrolet. What is the situation and status with that playing at a different ballpark for a couple of weeks and into the playoffs?
Yeah, thanks. It's wild. It truly is. Like, listen, for all the years that we've been together in cohabitance here over at Roger Dean, as of July 25th, we went down to our neighbors at the ballpark of the Palm Beaches and said, hey, listen, we need a place. We've got an impending, very exciting renovation project, and can we play at your place? So there was a fair bit of negotiation, and they were terrific neighbors to us. We're 12.4 miles apart, our 2 stadiums, and so pretty easy commute, but their stadium will open in 2017, and it's fantastic. It's really state of the art, and our teams went down there, enjoyed the amenities, these big clubhouses that are fantastic, a terrific playing field, just like we have here We've got two great groundskeepers, and the playing services heralded at both places, so that's good. And honestly, we had never matched up in the postseason, our two teams. So it's the perfect storm, Ben. We're talking about all the time with the two of us matching up. And then here we are, we finally match up when we're playing in a neutral site. So because of the impending renovation project, here's where we are. We're at the ballpark of the Palm Beaches. So we get to introduce let's say our product to a whole new audience, which is great. And we've had good success with it. And we've really enjoyed the stay, and great relationship with the guys and girls at the ballpark of the Palm Beaches.
Yeah, and you're in your unique situation, no matter what ballpark you're playing in, sharing the same ballpark with an opposing team in the league. It's kind of exemplified by your background right now on the Zoom call, a rally towel that features both teams on the rally towel, which is being given away at the ballpark for these games. Go Hammerheads in blue, go Cardinals in red. I mean, that speaks to this really unique thing that I don't think there's ever been a rally towel or a giveaway with both teams on it. When it became apparent you were going to meet in the playoffs with the team that you share a ballpark with, and this whole operation is interconnected, what's the approach to that? How do you kind of, figure out how to market it and make sure everyone's involved?
It's amazing when you have two teams, you have 132 games at home, right? So you got to give people a good reason to come out here. And the fan base is one when they're coming to Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium that, hey, they pretty much know there's a game every night with the exception of Mondays. So they're coming out really to be entertained, check out the action. A lot of times they'll pick their team based on maybe a color or whatever it is that they adopt. I'll say this, much to my dismay, jokingly, but Jupiter has a nice local feel with it, wouldn't it? Hammerheads is your moniker. So I think on the merchandising side, that when people come into the area, they want to grab those. But the tradition behind the Cardinals is really strong, and that fan base is tremendous. So we're even on everything, So we have good fun. We just promote fun. And when the two teams matched up, terrific talking points, right? To your local media and to your fan base. Just, hey, you can't lose. Come on out. Hedge your bets. So we just made it a fun thing. As you mentioned, we've got rally towels behind me right here. And you know what? We just said, hey, come on out. The first 250 fans get a rally towel. It's duly branded. You can swing on whatever side direction that you want. Come on out. Hey, but by the way, when you come to the game, we've got 2 points of entry. We've got one for the Palm Beach Cardinals fans, and we've got another one for Jupiter Hammerheads fans. We've got an independent too if you're undecided, but you go through one of the gates, you basically declare your loyalty, and you get handed a rally towel, so it gets funneled down to one, and it's just really fun. There's been no complaints from the fans. As a matter of fact, I felt it in game one, which was Tuesday night. It was Jupiter's home game. I felt a little bit of a vibe from the Hammerheads fans. Now, the game couldn't have been any closer. It was a great pitcher's duel. Some timely hitting in the end just brought it to an extra inning game, and Jupiter eked it out in the 10th inning, 3-2. But some great play all around, and it was exciting. I mean, you couldn't get any closer, right? So we're having good fun with it. We just let people know, hey, listen, we're out here for you. We want to entertain. Hey, we're giving you as many as 4 more games to go on the back of that season that you've already come out and shown us some great support. So we have fun with doing that. We do all of our between innings promotions during the course of our playoff games. And again, to continue to entertain the fans. And we had some good fun on opening night. Tuesday night, game one, we had 125 piece band from right across the street from ballpark of the Palm Beaches. And this is a much heralded band, and they did a great job. So there was some good pageantry for that opening night, and we had fun.
Yeah. And what is the vibe like between your two front offices right now? Because there is a separate side on both, you guys share Roger Dean Chevrolet. You guys are rubbing elbows a lot during the regular season, but now there's a potential FSL title on the line here in this opening series. What's the vibe like between you guys?
It's funny. It's always friendly fire, right? So we do have divided in terms of staffing, and just for sanity, we have to divide up down the middle, right? So you have to have a staff that represents Palm Beach and a staff that represents the Hammerheads, and again, friendly fire. But it is like brother, sister, or maybe cousin, where you love competing with them, but you sure don't want to lose, right? You want to love them. So, and I guess in the case of Tuesday night, we saw a good battle. And I guess if you had to lose, okay, that was the way to do it. And so you move into the next day with a new sense of optimism. So good rivalry. There's one or two that are just fit for the ring, so we like to make fun of them. Hey, they're right down the middle. Oh, you can't lose that way. But we got a terrific staff here. And so everybody's invested. And after, like I said, 132 home games throughout the course of the season, some rain too, and a lot of tarp pulls. We're pretty proud of our people. So you know what, we have fun with it, and I think whatever the finish is going to be grand. So that's fun.
Yeah, there you go. And you were talking about getting the word out to local media, talking this series up. What has that been like? I mean, you have, like you were saying, 132 game schedule that is set months in advance. Now all of a sudden you guys are tacking on games here at the end, trying to bring people out. How has it been getting the word out?
It's been good. Now you got to, excuse me, your market, right? We're basically like SEC area for football, and the interest in college football and high school football dominates as soon as, like, let's say, I should know what the first day that guys report to camp, but pretty much that date we move down the chart in terms of front page news. We're bottom of the fold, for an old school term, but we kind of pick our spots. And when we had a nice story like this one, all of a sudden we said, hey, guess what? This has never happened before. And all the time that we've been here, come on out. You can't lose cheering on one of your two local teams. And oh, by the way, we're at a different facility, so you want to check that out too. Hey, be one of the first couple of fans in. You get a free rally towel. You're going to like, if you haven't been to this ballpark before, those are all the kind of the ploys, for lack of better words, that we really let resonate with the general public. And like I said, we kept all of our media plan in place, really pushed it a little bit more locally around the ballpark of the Palm Beaches, again, giving us new opportunity to impress on a new fan base. And again, even just speaking with anybody in the local media and saying, hey, this hasn't happened before, and you compare all your head-to-head stats, there's some intrigue there. Jupiter's never won a Florida State League championship in their existence. Palm Beach has won one and shared one. Our head-to-head matchup through the course of this season is a game off. Like, we couldn't be any closer in every statistical number. And so it's excitement, if I can say that. We market it aggressively. And like I said, even going out to the local high schools, and just we hosted a class last week to introduce the ballpark, like, let's say, a high school class. The next night we hosted a college class out at the ballpark. We did it free of charge, but really point of introduction to bring people out and familiarize them with the ballpark of the Palm Beaches. And oh, by the way, there's a game in the backdrop. Enjoy. So it's kind of from the book of Fun is Good, like the Mike Beck approach to things, and we have fun with that. So proud of that.
Yeah, and Sam showed me a tweet yesterday from broadcaster Lisa Pride that really hit on a lot of the things you were just talking about, just how evenly matched these teams have been throughout the entirety of the regular season. Then they play a first game of the playoffs. In the regular season. Sam helpfully pulled up that tweet. 27 meetings, 14 wins for Palm Beach, scoring 129 runs, 13 wins for Jupiter, scoring 126 runs, and then just about a game as close as it could be in game one. It seems fitting that these teams are so evenly matched, sharing the same ballpark, and how that closeness, obviously extends to the front office for Palm Beach and Jupiter being intertwined. When the schedule comes out and you have those 132 games, is there any consideration with, promotional dates, theme nights, in terms of like, oh, the Cardinals want to do this one, or is it strictly just looking at all 132 and putting, the promotions where they may in terms of what the best night is? Is there any competition operationally that way, or is it all for the greater good?
No, we have a media team, a marketing team that really does a good job of making sure that's all equitable. We have a guy named Ryan Garden Schwartz who does a really nice job of balancing that, and he works alongside Taylor Burris, and they basically chart things out in conjunction with all of us, right? But you try to be right down the middle, even. But there's some things like, hey, listen, if it's a Lars Newt bar pepper grinder, that's going to be specific to a Palm Beach night, right? So. And there's some things where the Hammerheads have a nice advantage when it comes to marine nautical life with a hammerhead in their name. So again, I got a bird in my name, and they've got Hammy and theirs. So there's some really good tie-ins, and some of them have to play unique to that team. Our fan bases are good because, in the second half or right after the draft, and you get some really appealing players. Not that anybody wasn't before, but you get some high draft names on your roster. All of a sudden, there's an intrigue, and that happened. You see our Miami fan base come over here to see their Hammerheads, and you see the same thing with baseball fans in general coming to see the Palm Beach Cardinals with a new roster. So, and the collectors, of course, fill those seats when new guys come in. We're grateful for that too.
And we were talking before about, bragging rights and all of that, but is there any actual bet on the line between your two sides? Like, you were talking about college football. Some teams play for jugs. Some teams play for trophies. Rochester and Syracuse plays for the Golden Fork. That exists in minor league baseball. Have you guys like set anything that will actually exchange sides at the end of the
So yeah, a really good guy, the GM of the Jupiter Hammerheads. His name is Nick Burnaby, and he's a good guy. And so he and I have a little bet, and you got to have a bet, right? So we do some head-to-head rivalries and always have fun with it. And so what we did is, if Jupiter wins, I buy the sparkling wine. If vice versa, he does. And the plan is I'll be serving it with white gloves on, or he will be serving it with white gloves on. So our guys are young too. Notice I said sparkling juice, whatever I said. That's by intent. So that's our little bet, is that one has to buy the post-game celebration liquid. So good fun, friendly fire, and I can't wait till we win.
Yeah, well, we're here talking on Thursday afternoon with Jupiter up 1-0 in the best of 3 series. Game 2 is tonight. I know you don't want it to, but it could end tonight. Otherwise, if you're listening to this podcast when it comes out on Friday, tune in to the decisive Game 3 and see who wins this literal in-house battle. Now, I suppose that no matter who wins, does then the entirety of your operation, Jupiter and Palm Beach, root 100% for the winner against whoever wins the West in the Florida State League? Is there no hard feelings after this? And then it's, completely rooting for whoever is in the ballpark to win the championship?
Yeah, I'll call it guilt by association, but yeah, there's a good familiarity, and you get to know. Again, I mentioned the term cohabiting, and you get to know a lot of these guys really well. And we did a couple of camps where it was shared territory. I mean, kids baseball camps, excuse me. And there's some really good guys. For myself, I enjoyed working alongside, let's say, an Ian Lewis or Jordan McCants, who are both on the Hammerheads, and you feel good for those guys. I like their field manager Nelson Prada, and there's no bad bug in the bunch. It's you're happy for them, so it's guilt by association. Yes, you'll cheer them on next. That's your family member, so we'll do that. But again, I don't plan to travel that path, so. Maybe another bet is when we win, maybe I'll request that Nick Burnaby put on the mascot outfit. Of course it's real, but Robbie the Redbird. So that fun stuff. Can I just tell you a couple things we did on Tuesday night, and we plan to do again on Thursday night tonight?
Yeah, please.
This is, again, some of these things that are in your head and you're like, okay, but when you see them and you chalk them up and you see them on Tuesday night, it kind of makes you laugh. Like, sure, it was Jupiter's home game, but we played walk-up songs for both teams. So, it was like a home game. The guys stayed in their regular clubhouses. They're very familiar with the ballpark and the playing field, the sight lines. Like I said, they have their own walk-up signs. They occupy their own clubhouse. They sleep in their own bed. And everything they're used to, and it was just fun. We had 2 mascots entertaining, both teams' mascots, and it was a Jupiter home game. So it's funny. I like to joke we're pretty PDL compliant around here. There's no load management conversations. There's no travel, limited travel, and better player rest, and players get to sleep in their own beds. So we're really playing that angle. And even with a rally towel. So, the gist is never to have too predominantly a white base towel, like not too much. So I made sure we had a lot of print on those rally towels with both colors and both teams and a couple of sponsors. We're very PDL compliant over here.
Well,
and I don't say that tongue in cheek. I very much respect it. Again, just having fun with everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're looking forward to seeing how this plays out. Two more games, I'm sure you would say, to go for sure. And whoever wins will be from within the Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium family, currently playing at Ballpark of the Palm Beaches. Andrew Seymour, the general manager of the Palm Beach Cardinals, we really appreciate your time and filling us in on this unique situation. Thanks for joining us on the Show Before the Show podcast.
Thank you. Can I add one thing before I go?
Of course.
I've got to do it, guys. And listen, I'd love to entice you guys. There's still time to come down here. There's still time for Friday's game, because again, that's a 6:30 start. We go head to head with a lot of college and high school football. So we'll need you in attendance. You can pick and choose your team by which gate you come in, and jump in your Toyota Corolla. Come on down. We'll have a Palm Beach Cardinals playoff T-shirt for you. And I got to brag. Listen, you mentioned Nashville's 3 Gs. down here in Palm Beach, we've got the 3 R's, and it would be recreation. We got great beaches, golf courses, restaurants, gluten-free options. And then the third would be, of course, records. We've got some 3 record shops for you, Ben. Rust and Wax Record Shop. If nothing else, you just got to get a t-shirt from there. But we really do. We have some good stuff for you and love to have you guys in attendance. And if I see you guys in Vegas, I'll make sure I have a t-shirt for you from the Palm Beach Cardinals.
All right. Thank you. And yeah, you just sold us. Sam and I are booking flights and renting the
road trip. Just jump in the Corolla.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we'll have to figure out which of us is rooting for which team. We'll work it out. We'll do some do some rock, paper, scissors. Yeah. But yeah, thanks again, Andrew, for being on the show. And yeah, really looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a great week, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
We interrupt this podcast to bring you another thrilling edition of Ghosts of the Miners. Now, here's your correspondent and host, Joshua Jackson.
Welcome back to Ghosts of the Miners, in which all of you out there in Radioland must identify the legitimate historical ball club or player hiding amidst the fraudulent pair. One once really took to the yard, the others never took to anything. In the last segment, I asked you which of the following minor league baseball teams did at one time exist. A, the Jersey City Announcers. B, the Bandon Big Mouths. C, the Bridgeport Orators. You ought to speak right up if you picked C, the Bridgeport Orators, who always found the right words for 15 seasons around the turn of the century in the Connecticut State League. The first thing that must be said about the Bridgeport Orators is that they were named for Baseball Hall of Famer Jim O'Rourke, who way back in 1876 recorded the first hit in the history of the National League. O'Rourke was much more than that one moment, though, as he'd be happy to tell you. Born in Bridgeport to Irish immigrants in 1850, O'Rourke graduated from Yale Law School and practiced law in the city of his birth during the off-season. His propensity for rhetorical expressiveness made his oral discourse bardic, galvanic, and eloquent beyond compare, which is to say, he talked pretty. This quality was the inspiration for his nickname, Orator Jim. Orator Jim's big league playing career lasted, in effect, 22 years, and he appeared in one game with his old New York Giants again in 1904, 11 years after his final full season in the NL, going 1 for 4 and thereby becoming founding member of an elite club of players to notch a base hit in the majors after the age of 50. He was 54. But the old orator has our tongues running away with our point. Let's make like O'Rourke did and get back to Bridgeport. For O'Rourke, the return came after spending the '93 season with the Washington Senators and serving a stint as an NL umpire in '94. O'Rourke organized, managed, and played for Bridgeport clubs, and even tried to organize a new league in the mid-1890s, along the way employing African-American son of Bridgeport, Harry Herbert, as an outfielder, and also staying active in local politics and civic groups. In 1898, the Connecticut State League team, still under his management and with him serving as a regular catcher at the age of 47, honored O'Rourke by playing as the Orators. It was a name the club kept into the 20th century, with O'Rourke both on the team and becoming league president. They were the Orators during a championship run in 1904, during which O'Rourke made history once again by playing in the same lineup as his eponymous son, a future New York Highlander, who were future New York Yankees, and all the way up through the 1912 season, they remained the Orators. O'Rourke, the catcher who would turn 62 years old that September of 1912, donned the tools of ignorance at least once for the Orators that season, then sold the team before the end of the Connecticut State League, ahead of the 1913 season. And that's how the Orators fell quiet. Now, on to the question for next time. Which of these players multiplied his luck in the minors of yesteryear? A, Johnny Begetter. B, Harold Breeding. C. Henry spawning? Want to know the answer? Double down. Or tune in to the next Ghost of the Minors. But for now, you'll have to excuse me. My producer Ben Hill is locked out of his piano lessons, and I've got to help him find the right key.
Final segment of this week's episode of the show. Before the show, I was doing my countdown into this segment, and I had to both stretch and yawn. It's too early for podcasting, Sam. It's 8:30 in the morning. Come on. Normal.
I was going to give you full credit from the jump when you had so much energy. You were talking about like what time it was there, what time you've woken up, and then you're just like in it.
I'm going right back.
It only lasted so long. Yeah.
I had the middle game of the night game last night, and I didn't finish up too late. Like I was back to the hotel at a normal hour, but when I get done with broadcasts, I'm usually like pretty energized, pretty wired. So I like tried to go to bed, and then I just laid there for like 2 hours and couldn't fall asleep. And then as you and I started recording, I mentioned this to you. Sometimes that'll happen to me, and then I get so annoyed and I get so frustrated by the fact that I can't fall asleep. But then for the rest of the night, I'm just like subconsciously annoyed. Like even as I'm sleeping, I'm still like, couldn't fall asleep for 2 hours though. And so then I'm just like flailing and tossing and turning and annoyed. And so it was not my best night's sleep. It's not the night's sleep that I would put on like my resume. If I was applying for a job that was predicated on good night's sleep, it's not what I would lead with.
I want to get that job so badly.
Yeah, it does sound.
I love this job very much. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to go anywhere, but
the job
just getting a night's sleep, like and getting paid for it, absolutely. Sign me up.
That and reviewing top down, bottom up blinds on Windows. I think those are the two callings.
I'm available. Yeah.
Well, before we get out of here, MILB.TV is where you can catch all of the best and brightest in minor league baseball. We're coming down to the final weeks of the season with postseason play underway. Obviously, we've got the game of the month coming up this weekend. Sam, what are you watching on MILB TV?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just once again say everybody tune in on Saturday for the game of the month between Biloxi and Montgomery. If you're a Brewers fan or Rays fan, you should definitely be tuning in for that. But also, I think just generally, it's going to be a crazy atmosphere. You don't normally have two top 10 prospects facing off against each other like this with something so big on the line. So keep an eye out for that one on Saturday. But throwing it forward a little bit more. We already do have one Eastern League series set between Binghamton and Somerset, which is a Mets-Yankees lineup, matchup. So that's pretty fun in its own right. But Binghamton is really, really loaded. They got the second half spot there in the Northeast Division. They have Luis Angel Acuna, Drew Gilbert, Jet Williams just got called up to Double-A. So those are the Mets' top three prospects. Kevin Parada, who's number 5 on that roster. Keep an eye out for Blade Tidwell starts. He just started the other night, had 5 scoreless innings, struck out 9 against Reading. I have a Pipeline pitching lab up with him soon. It's him showing his pitch grips, and he talked about how he's changed around the grip on his curveball, on his slider, on his changeup, and something that seems to have really caught on with him. He struggled with command at the beginning of the year, but that seems to have turned around. He's getting strikeouts. I really like the look of his slider. It's a really good sweeper, and he can throw 95, 96 miles an hour with 18 inches of ride, which is really good by modern standards. He said he's had some fastballs go up as high as 22 inches. So you're going to see some swings and misses on the heater too. If you can catch a Blade Tidwell start in that postseason series against Somerset, by all means, watch it when you can. Binghamton lineup is especially loaded, but the Somerset lineup has a great prospect in its own right, and top Yankees prospect Spencer Jones, who's a really, really tall outfielder. It's an organization that knows how to develop those guys. Hello, Aaron Judge. But he just got to Somerset a few weeks ago, has better speed than you would expect for somebody at 6'5", 6'6", but also can really hit the cover off the ball too. So he's a multi-tooled athlete in the middle of that Somerset lineup. So that should be a fun playoff series to follow next week. Keep an eye. I'm sure one of those games will be a game of the week and be featured for free on MLB.com/pipeline. But keeping an eye out for those announcements early in the week. Tyler, what are you watching?
Yeah, it's also kind of funny that Spencer Jones is 6'6", and you're like, he would have to be like, you'd have to move to shooting guard if they were going to put together, like, obviously Aaron Judge is your big man. Like Spencer Jones, you're going to gotta shift him around to a different position.
Yeah, I want to see just a picture of Judge, Stanton, and Jones.
Yeah,
just together, just hanging out.
Yeah, just like, what do 3 tall guys do in New York City who play a professional sport, but not for the Knicks or Nets? I think that's pretty cool.
That's what they should do. They should have the 3 of them go into a bodega and just help people get stuff off the top shelves. Free ideas.
I think we've got an idea for, exactly. It sounds very fun. I'm going to stick in the AA Eastern League as well. The Somerset Patriots, as Sam noted, will square off with the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. Ricky Tiedemann, the second-ranked left-handed pitching prospect in baseball, is finishing the year strong. Obviously, very limited at the beginning of the season with injuries, but 72 strikeouts and 38 innings for Ricky Tiedemann so far this season. Coming up on Friday, he will be going in what looks like his final start of the year. And you can catch that at MILB.tv. Before we get out of here, though, I got to give a plug to our pal, Michael Clare, who has written a fantastic story. I'm over here in Japan working the Women's Baseball World Cup. Michael's got a story up at MLB.com about Ayami Sato, who is the longtime ace of Japan's women's baseball team staff. Mike does such awesome work on everything, but he's got a great story up on that. And you can check out all of the games from over here with the Women's Baseball World Cup at a website, gametime.sport, run by WBSC, the World Baseball Softball Confederation. The Women's Baseball World Cup is a very cool event. This is a different format this year. There are 2 group stages, and then there will be a 6-team full World Cup held next year. These group stages will send the top 3 finishers on through. The United States has already advanced, as has Canada, as has Mexico. They advanced out of an event last month in Thunder Bay, Ontario, which was the first group stage. So those teams are on through. Top 3 finishers here will move on as well. We had Japan's opener last night. They actually kind of struggled a little bit. They ended up beating Puerto Rico 4-2, but they were trailing that game 2-0 going into the bottom of the 4th. Japan had not allowed more than 1 run in a World Cup game since 2016. So that's ridiculous. They have not lost a game in the Women's Baseball World Cup since 2012. That's how dominant. I made the comparison last night. They're like the early 90s Olympic Dream teams for USA Basketball. That's pretty much what Japan's women's baseball team has been in recent years. Congratulations also to Japan, which won the U18 Baseball World Cup. A lot of future stars on that team. USA Baseball kind of struggled. They finished 4th. They finished with a 5-4 overall record. It was the first time since 2010 that they had not played for a medal. They have been playing for world championships. They had won 5 of the last 6 going into this past weekend's world championship final. And we've seen a ridiculous amount of talent come out of that U18 national team program in recent years for the United States. Nolan Gorman and Jared Kelnick and Bobby Witt and Tristan Casas and Nolan Libertor and Ryan Weathers, all kinds of talent that's come across. And not really the case this year. Still a lot of talent, but the success did not come on the field. They finished 5-4 overall and in 4th place. And coming up tomorrow, Sam, I get to cross off one of my biggest bucket list things in the baseball world. I am, weather permitting, going to a Hiroshima Carp game. It'll be my very first Nippon professional game in person. I have not been able to attend an NPB game because my only other time in Japan, it was November. So the season had already wrapped up, but I'm pretty pumped, man, to go check out a Carp game. And apparently Hiroshima is like the most dedicated, loyal fan base in Japanese baseball. This team is community owned, so they're sort of like the Green Bay Packers, where the city actually owns the team, or fans actually own the team. They play at Mazda Zoom Zoom Stadium. I'm very excited, man. I'm super pumped.
Yeah, we're gonna have to trade notes next week.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to see the Carp. I'm going to see the Shuckers.
Yeah.
Water-based team.
Yeah, I was going to say very aquatic week for the hosts of the Show Before the Show podcast. That's pretty cool stuff. So just a shameless plug for Mike's stuff and for the broadcast as well. And for Sam's also, which you can catch the minor league game of the month for free coming up on Saturday from Biloxi, Mississippi. And that'll do it for this week's episode of the show before the show. For Sam Dykstra, Benjamin Hill, Josh Jackson, all the rest, my name is Tyler Mon, and we will catch you from normal time zones for both of us coming up next week.